When millions of viewers first discovered porn stars, there was one person almost nobody expected to become successful outside the show. Chumlee looked like the lovable troublemaker of the pawn shop. He joked around constantly, made careless mistakes, forgot details, and often became the target of teasing from everyone around him. To many fans, he seemed less like a businessman and more like entertainment added to keep the show funny. But behind that relaxed image, something far more surprising was quietly unfolding. While viewers focused on the comedy, Chumlee was studying the business around him, watching how fame worked, learning how audiences reacted, and slowly building a financial empire almost nobody saw coming. And the most shocking part? The man many people underestimated the most eventually became one of the smartest success stories connected to the entire show. Long before television cameras entered his life, Chumlee was living an ordinary life in Las Vegas. There were no wealthy parents guiding him toward success. No celebrity connections opening doors. No expensive education preparing him for business. He grew up around regular people, regular struggles, and regular jobs. Life in Las Vegas moved fast, and survival depended on working hard and adapting quickly. When he started spending time around the pawn shop, nobody could have predicted that the awkward, funny young employee would someday become a millionaire known around the world. At that point, he was simply another guy trying to earn a living in a city filled with competition and pressure. But sometimes the people who appear least prepared are quietly paying the closest attention. And that may have been exactly what separated Chumlee from everyone else. As porn stars became more popular, something unusual started happening. Fans didn't just care about the rare collectibles or expensive deals anymore. They became emotionally connected to the personalities inside the shop. Rick Harrison brought experience and authority. Corey Harrison brought attitude and energy. But Chumlee brought something different entirely. He made the show unpredictable. Viewers never knew what strange comment he would make next or what mistake he would accidentally create. Every episode gave audiences another reason to laugh, and slowly he became one of the most recognizable faces on television. But here's what many people missed at the time. Chumlee understood exactly why audiences remembered him. He realized the true value of reality television wasn't only fame. It was branding. And once he understood that, everything started changing very quickly. While many reality stars spend money carelessly after becoming famous, Chumlee quietly started thinking like an entrepreneur. Fans wanted products connected to him, so he launched merchandise. T-shirts, novelty items, collectibles, and autographs began selling faster than expected. What looked like a simple side business quickly turned into serious money. Demand became so large that even Rick Harrison reportedly became involved in helping manage part of the growing operation. But Chumlee wasn't satisfied with only selling products linked to his image. He wanted businesses that could continue making money even when cameras stopped rolling. That thinking separated him from many other reality TV personalities who depended entirely on staying famous. Chumlee was preparing for something bigger. But what exactly was he building behind the scenes? One of his smartest ideas came from understanding tourism. Every single day, thousands of visitors traveled to Las Vegas hoping to see the famous pawn shop from television in real life. Chumlee realized those tourists represented an enormous business opportunity. Instead of letting that attention go to waste, he opened a candy store close to the pawn shop area. At first glance, the idea sounded simple. Maybe even random. But financially, it was brilliant. Fans already visiting because of the show naturally became customers. People wanted photos, souvenirs, and experiences connected to the world of porn stars. Chumlee transformed television popularity into real-world business traffic almost automatically. Quietly, while many people still viewed him as comic relief, he was creating multiple streams of income at the same time. And the money continued growing. But business ventures were only one part of the story. Away from the spotlight, Chumlee became deeply interested in investments and collectibles. Unlike many celebrities who spend heavily on short-lived luxuries, he started putting money into things he believed would increase in value over time. He invested in collectible cards, gaming memorabilia, sports items, and nostalgic products connected to childhood culture. Long before Pokemon cards exploded into a massive market, Chumlee had already recognized their future value. He understood something powerful about nostalgia. People are willing to spend huge amounts of money reconnecting with memories from their past. That instinct helped him build collections worth far more than many people realized. And it also revealed another side of his personality audiences rarely saw. On television, Chumlee appeared carefree and disorganized. But behind the scenes, many of his financial decisions showed patience and long-term thinking. He didn't just spend money randomly. He invested in things with future potential. Real estate became another major part of that strategy. In 2019, he sold his large Las Vegas home for over $1 million. The property itself surprised many fans. Spacious rooms, luxury features, a swimming pool, a guest house, expensive cars parked outside. It was proof that the funny employee viewers once laughed at had quietly built serious financial success behind the scenes. And perhaps the most surprising part was how quietly it all happened. Chumlee never bragged constantly about being a businessman. He never tried to present himself as the genius of the group. Instead, he stayed in the background while his wealth continued growing year after year. But then everything suddenly changed. In 2016, Chumlee became the center of a scandal that threatened to destroy everything he had built. Police raided his Las Vegas home during an investigation connected to serious allegations. News spread rapidly across television and the internet. Reports focused heavily on firearms, drugs, and the larger investigation surrounding the case. Overnight, the lovable reality TV personality became surrounded by controversy. Fans who once laughed at his jokes now questioned everything they thought they knew about him. Media outlets followed every update closely. Public pressure intensified quickly. And for many celebrities, scandals like this become the end of their careers forever. Businesses collapse. Television opportunities disappear. Public trust vanishes completely. For a moment, it looked like Chumlee might lose everything. What made the situation even more damaging was the sudden contrast between his public image and the headlines dominating the news. On television, audiences knew him as the harmless funny guy. But now, his name appeared beside criminal investigations and controversy. Even though sexual assault charges were never officially filed against him, the situation still caused enormous damage to his reputation. Chumlee eventually accepted a plea deal connected to weapons charges, and many people assumed his time in the spotlight was finished. But what happened afterwards surprised almost everyone. Instead of disappearing completely, Chumlee slowly focused on rebuilding his life step by step. He stayed connected to his businesses. He protected the investments and income streams he had already built before the scandal happened. Quietly, he continued earning money while staying away from unnecessary public attention. He understood that survival during controversy often depends on stability behind the scenes. And because he had already created multiple business ventures before the scandal, he wasn't completely dependent on television fame anymore. That decision may have saved his financial future. Around the same time, another personal struggle forced him to rethink his life entirely. For years, Chumlee struggled with obesity and health problems. His weight affected his confidence, his lifestyle, and even his long-term future. Eventually, he made the serious decision to undergo weight loss surgery. The transformation became one of the biggest turning points of his life. He lost a significant amount of weight and started focusing more seriously on health, discipline, and stability. But the changes weren't only physical. They were mental as well. Fame had already shown him how quickly life could change. The scandal showed him how fast success could disappear. And now, for perhaps the first time, he seemed focused on protecting both his health and his future at the same time. As the years passed, Chumlee slowly evolved beyond the role audiences originally knew him for. He was no longer just the funny employee making mistakes inside a pawn shop. He became a businessman, investor, entrepreneur, collector, and survivor. His candy store continued attracting tourists. His collectibles continued growing in value. His investments kept generating income quietly in the background. Even when the spotlight faded slightly, the financial structure he built remained strong. And that may be the most impressive part of his story. Many reality stars become trapped inside the image television creates for them. Chumlee managed to use that image instead of becoming controlled by it. What makes his journey so fascinating is how completely people underestimated him from the beginning. Because he acted goofy on television, many assumed he lacked intelligence or ambition. But sometimes the smartest people are the ones nobody notices at first. While viewers laughed at the character they saw on screen, Chumlee was learning how fame worked, how branding worked, how investments worked, and how long-term wealth is actually built. He understood opportunities others ignored. He recognized the value of public attention before many reality stars did. And most importantly, he realized fame alone is temporary, but businesses and investments can continue growing long after television trends disappear. Even today, fans remain surprised when they learn how much wealth Chumlee quietly accumulated over the years. Luxury cars like a Rolls-Royce Phantom and a Maserati showed how dramatically his life changed from the early days inside the pawn shop. His homes, collections, businesses, and investments all reflected a level of financial success few expected him to reach. Yet despite the money, controversy, and public attention, he rarely tried to present himself as the smartest person in the room. Instead, he stayed relaxed, humorous, and underestimated. And perhaps that worked in his favor more than anyone realized. Because in the end, Chumlee's story isn't really just about reality television or money. It's about perception. It's about how easily people judge others based on appearances. Millions of viewers assumed they understood exactly who he was after watching a few episodes of television. But behind the scenes, there was always another layer people couldn't fully see. A man quietly paying attention, quietly learning, quietly building wealth while others laughed at him. And by the time many people finally realized it, he had already transformed himself from comic relief into one of the most unexpected financial success stories in reality television history. Maybe that's the real reason his story continues fascinating people today. The person everyone underestimated the most may have been planning further ahead than anyone ever imagined.